when I was a kid, Mom would always beg, urge, and cajole me to try to get me to dress up. And I know, obviously, she can't see it now. I guess I'm just a little sentimental. When I was out there visiting recently, I had a chance to look at some of the old photos. I remember looking at the baby pictures of Mom, and the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, she was so cute. And then I saw the pictures of Mom as a teenager, and I thought, Dad scored a hottie. No Oedipus, okay? But obviously that's not the Mom that I knew growing up. As a young adult, I did my duty and made a thorough assessment of everything that was wrong with my upbringing. And then I got a little older and I had children. And I realized, you reach that point and you realize that parents have reasons for doing what they did. Some of them are strategic for teaching and disciplining the children. Some of them are reactive because the children have just driven you to the edge. And I'm pretty sure I drove Mom to the edge a heck of a lot. I gave her a hell of a challenge to deal with. But, it's funny, you reach that age and you realize that you're the same age that they were, and you don't feel that old. You don't feel like you're a grown-up, and then you realize, well, Mom didn't feel like she was a grown-up. She was probably just groping her way through the way we were. And just doing her best to try to make sure that we were well fed, that we were loved. I'll tell you that from Mom, I got my picture of what a loving partner looked like. I didn't see a lot into Mom and Dad's relationship, but I learned from Mom the kind of person I wanted to have in my life. Mom was always, she was moved by tenderness and compassion. She could be harsh when she needed to be, and we created that necessity for her on the regular. But that's not what she was moved by. I know, because when I was a kid, cuddling was one of my favorite things in the whole world, and she was never behindhand in that regard. She was always there supporting me when I was having social problems, which again was a very common thing in my life. I remember when I was, I think, 14, and I was quite certain way too old at that point, but I remember that I was walking home one day from school, junior high school, and there were these two boys, well, you didn't call them boys when you're in junior, no, they were men. Two guys in junior high school who were like following me and ridiculing me, and I mean, I don't even want to go into it. Okay, and I just walked along trying to ignore them because I knew that they got off on me getting angry and upset. And I remember going home, and when I finally got home, I don't really know exactly how I kept it together, but I got home and I looked at Mom, and the very first thing I said was, "Why do they hate me?" I said that over and over, and I cried, I bawled, and Mom knew enough not to try to answer the question. She knew enough not to say anything. She just held me like I was absolutely sure a 14-year-old was too old to have happen. But I was so grateful for that. She didn't judge me. She didn't look at me funny for not being more grown up than I was. I love Mom. I really do. I noticed as things went on later, interestingly, I remember Mom and Dad kind of identified as relatively conservative when I was a kid, and as things went on, I noticed Mom leaning a little bit more and more to the left than Dad did. And I think that that's something that happens to you a little bit when you are the kind of person who is primarily driven by compassion and tenderness. I think what happens is you start to lean that way, even as some would argue that it makes you a little less pragmatic, a little less realistic. But I think that when you lean that way, a person kind of feels drawn to be drawn toward the world as it should be, much more than you're drawn to the way things really work. Even if the way things should be quite possibly will never actually be that way. Speaking of politics, I also remember that Mom would be so patient with me when I was absolutely certain that my points of view were right. And as I think every one of you who is seeing this can remember, I am damn good at arguing. And, well, maybe not good at it. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'll argue myself into a corner until I look like a damn fool. But I do not give up easily. It's really only now in my late 50s that I've started to learn that it's okay to let people disagree with you, and it's even okay to sometimes let somebody else be right. And if I am learning that, I believe that Mom had a very large hand in it with how patient she always was with me. She knew I was kind of an oddball and had to be handled a little differently from the average person. She's made all of us, in a large part, the people that we are. I wish I had something more funny to say. But I love Mom, and I hope that I know we have a lot of different opinions on the concept of an afterlife, but I hope that she is somewhere still hearing this with a different kind of consciousness, maybe a consciousness that's not subject to boredom from seeing the world repeat itself over and over again, maybe a kind of consciousness that's not subject to weariness from being tired of being conscious. Maybe a kind of eternal childhood that will always have wonder and always discover more and always be confident in love. So yes, a little corny. Again, you know me. It's kind of what I am. I love you guys. And even though I can't be with you right now, I'm glad we're all together in some way.